So yeah, there is definitely a lot that could be changing there. Now, the first bit of latest news that we should speak about here is the criticism right now that Eddie Jones is currently facing for his England regime, they call it. Eddie Jones defends coaching style after fierce criticism of his regime. This is on theguardian.com. Eddie Jones is defended. I just read that one out. Newspaper report published last week used anonymous accounts from players and former employees to paint a picture of a tense and demanding environment lacking in enjoyment. Jones has just finished rebuilding his coaching team for the third time with John Mitchell, his number 2, the most recent departure after the former All Blacks head coach departed for the Wasps rather than continuing overseeing the defense. Basically, Mitchell's exit is the latest example of the staff churn that has been persistent since Jones took over at the end of 2015, with assistant coaches, physios, doctors, analysts, psychologists leaving at a high rate. And while England had their worst Six Nations performance earlier this year when finishing 5th, their head coach remains defiant over his management style. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with what's being said, or do you think it is acceptable?
I find it interesting that the psychologist left, because I feel like that's something that would have been, it's quite a big problem.
If the psychologists are leaving, mate, there's an issue,
But yeah, overall, I know that he looks like an angry man at times, I guess you could say, Eddie Jones, like very, I guess, invested into what he is doing, because we saw him at the Scotland versus Tonga game. And the thing is, England are playing Tonga this week, but I feel like a lot of coaches wouldn't have actually gone to that game to scout out Tonga kind of thing. I feel like they would have just left them kind of maybe watch it on the telly. But he made the trip. He yawned during the shot when the camera was on, which was slightly unfortunate. But, it's going to be a tricky one because of the fact that it's always the case of, I guess there's so many stories adding up at this stage of kind of people anonymously coming out about it, which does mean that the problem is obviously there. And if England, I guess, don't get a few wins soon or end up in a decent position in the Six Nations, then maybe he will end up losing that position. Because I guess at this stage, a lot of people around him have already left by the sounds of it as well.
Do you think this is a part of the woke brigade, though?
It's a tough one because, of course, in our days, there's a lot of, Twitter's a terrible place.
Twitter's the worst social media. I don't even use Twitter for this very reason, that it is literally the worst social media on the planet because of what you're about to mention.
Yeah, so it's a tricky one because I guess, I haven't actually seen too many of the stories in terms of that environment, because I know that a lot of people actually say for Ian Foster that he's too nice in that regard. So I guess it's trying to find that medium ground of not being a dick, but not being a pushover.
Is that the first time you've sworn on this podcast? I swear weekly.
Dick a swear word?
Relatively. I don't know. It's
it's feeling rebellious today, I guess you'd say.
Rebellious, mate. You're rebellious. But what I will say is that, the reason I do say that is because obviously everyone nowadays wants a reason to complain. Now, look, when you start looking at psychologists leaving and, like we were mentioning, the analysts, I don't even know why I can't say that word. Analysis is what the word I'm trying to say, but it's not that. It's analysts that have left, and all the staff and the churn and obviously the poor results. I think it's just kind of right now England are panicking because of their most recent form. So they're probably just kind of trying to figure out what the issue is with their recent form. And Eddie Jones has a illustrious career with providing results. But yeah, I think this could honestly just be down to the fact that, because what do you want? Do you want the player? Do you want the coach to be nice, or do you want the coach to get this shit done? And it's one tournament. England still won the Six Nations last year, so this is the thing. Everyone, or Autumn Nations Cup, whatever it was last year, and did they win Six Nations last year as well?
The year before the one that we've just had,
2020.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. So they won the Autumn Nations. Well, they were lucky to win the Autumn Nations Cup. That was very lucky against France. And secondly, they won Six Nations. So why is everyone willing to forget Wales' form from that Six Nations, plus also the Autumn Nations, but yet they're not but they are forgetting. Wait, what am I saying here? Why are people willing to forget about? Well, no, what am I trying to say here?
Not sure. I don't
I
think
don't
I can
really know
help
what
you
I'm
out.
trying to say here. What people are not remembering the fact that Wales were terrible last year and have got a decent record this year, I guess. But last year, England were very good, and now they don't exactly look great. So people are forgetting about England's results last year.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying now?
I do. I know what you're
You know,
saying.
it's confusing because they're both relatively similar things, but they're different in the same sense. It's hard. Anyway, you
Mm.
respond to what you think I've just said.
I think that in that case, like, I want to see them do well in this kind of
I
international
don't want
window
to
and
see
also
England
the
do
Six
nothing
Nations.
ever.
Really?
Mate, I'm Australian.
Man,
Of
they
course I
didn't
don't want to
let
see.
go. Johnny Walker City, he's a good player.
Yeah, well, why are we
Yeah,
talking about the
so what?
2015
He
World
stole the
Cup while we
World
knocking
Cup
them
off you.
out? Why are we knocking them when we knocking them out of the 2015 World Cup? How about that one? Anyway, continue with what you're saying before you start getting me riled up. Don't make me riled up.
Well, it is just one of those ones that England, they've made a few steps. I guess with the changes that they've made in their squad as well, people were thinking maybe they're going to be going in the right direction. Like, because I know that they missed out a few big players, but they also brought in a few of those younger ones, maybe looking towards that World Cup. The likes of a Marcus Smith now possibly getting to really enforce his role at 10, either off the bench or starting. And also the likes of a Sam Simmons. That's just been phenomenal for the Exeter Chiefs. The most tries scored in a Gallagher Premiership season, I believe. He took that record last year, and the man's just a try scorer machine off the back of a scrum. And I think at this stage, if they can inject those younger, talented players into their squad and into these games up against the likes of the Springboks or something like that, it might be an interesting game. I think it could be relatively close there.
I just hope that England continue to panic. I hope that they continue to, mess around, and I hope they continue. Go on.
Is it possibly due to the fact that they are sitting in fourth and your beloved Wallabies are in third? And,
Oh no, that's got nothing to do with it. England could be in 15th and Australia could be in first, or England could be in first and Australia could be in 15th. And I will always want England to lose. Always. It doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with the third and fourth thing. It's just to do with the fact that it's England. So I get a feeling we're going to lose in 2 weeks whenever we play them. And I'm dreading the day. I'm dreading the day that I have to sit there and I have to witness this. But in the same sense, if they continue to, throw shade at their own coach. But then again, this is something the English media do all the time. You go and have a look in football as well. Like there's a reason why people hate, and I'm talking about hate, the English media when it comes to sport, because they're part of the reason why England football is so unsuccessful. As in soccer, England soccer is so unsuccessful because of them. They are legitimately a massive reason. So hopefully it's now translating into rugby just ahead of that Wallabies game next week. And, I'll take it. But overall, I think it is very much just them panicking a little bit in regards to recent results and forgetting how good they were last year.